Hi, my name is Erica Zachary, and I will be presenting unto you today my presentation titled The Use of Personality Assessments in Making Employment Decisions. Welcome to my presentation. For decades, personality assessments have been available for employers. Many employers have had great success utilizing these tools to help predict future performance of candidates in specific jobs. This presentation will cover different personality tests and what each one consists of and how each one complements employers in their decisions. Next, I would like to provide some brief history in regards to personality assessments. In the early 1920s, Edward K. Strong Jr. constructed the Strong Vocational Interest Blank Test containing 420 items. The aim of the test was to determine the interest areas for men seeking employment positions. This test had a test manual. In 1935, a women's version of the SVIB was constructed containing 410 items and a test manual. In 1974, a combined form of the male and female versions of the SVIB was established under the surveillance of David P. Campbell. This combined form was known as the Strong-Campbell Entrance Inventory. The latest version of this test was made back in 2004. The Soroka versus Dayton-Hudson Corporation case. Back on September 7 of 1989, Sibby Soroka filed a lawsuit in a California court. He challenged the practice of Dayton-Hudson Corporation of requiring applicants for the position of store security officers at Target stores to take and pass psychological screenings, claiming that this was an invasion of privacy. Target store, a national retail chain, had established its testing, which they called Psych Screen in 1988. The store valued the test because it established good judgment and emotional stability in SSOs, characteristics Target deemed as necessary for this position. The court ruled in favor of the plaintiff, stating that such a practice was a violation of the right to privacy. This was the first case ever challenging personality testing in employment decisions by a private firm. Back in 2005, employees of Rent-A-Car Incorporation brought a case against the corporation. The employees were against the use of psychological assessment, the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory Test, to make decisions about hiring employees for management positions. The plaintiff stated that this test violated the provisions of the Americans with Disability Act. The court ruled in favor of the plaintiffs. There are thousands of personality assessments applied in making employment decisions. There are two types of tests which are applied: the objective test and the projective test. The objective test is basically a paper and pencil test. It is usually administered in a group setting containing true or false answers. The projective test, on the other hand, is administered individually in controlled settings. The test taker interprets an ambiguous stimuli in an open-ended way. The importance of these personality tests is to determine if an applicant fits a particular employment position. Also, to assess whether an employee being considered for promotion would be perfect fit for responsibilities of the new position. It also detects employees who are mentally unstable or have psychological disorders, or whether candidates can engage in theft against their future employers and fellow employees. Personality assessments are predictors of employee performance. Another importance of personality assessments is that it aids in the selection of candidates who will be an asset to the company. It also helps the candidates' employees have specific understanding of the personality of their potential employees. It helps employers predict how candidates will behave in the multicultural settings, especially since today companies are made of employees from different backgrounds. Assessment instruments used in personality assessments in employment decisions is one, the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, also known as the MMPI. This was developed by Stark R. Hathaway and John Charnley McKinley back in 1943. It has 566 true or false test items that can be administered by paper and pencil and online. Tests can be taken within 60 to 90 minutes. There is also an audio version for semi-literate test takers. Scoring takes place via computers. The second assessment is the Neo-Personality Inventory, which was developed by Paul Costa Jr. and Robert McCrae back in 1990. It measured 5 main dimensions: neuroticism, extroversion, openness, agreeability, and consciousness. Neuroticism relates to the extent of emotional turmoil of the test taker. Extroversion is the degree of sociability and assertiveness. Openness refers to the ability to learn from the environment and within. Agreeableness is the ability to create friendships, have sympathy, and the belief that others hold similar views as the test takers. Consciousness is concerned about planning, organization, and execution of plans. The NEO is designed for individuals who are 17 years of age and older. It consists of 240 items. These items are descriptions of behavior. Test takers choose responses on a 5-point scale which ranges from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Test takers can respond to test items in an average of 35 minutes. It also can be self-administered. Computerized scoring is also available. Employees complete the test in formal backgrounds using pencil and paper. Test takers can access their scores in the NEO summary. The third assessment that I will be speaking about is the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, which was developed by Catherine Briggs and Isabel Briggs-Myers, basing on Carl Jung's personality types. It is based on 4 distinct areas: introversion, sensing, intuition, thinking and feeling, and judging and perceiving. There are no wrong or right answers in the MBTI since the test looks at personal interests, which is the way people actually see themselves. The Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, the MBTI, has 93 items, all of which are self-reporting and can be completed in 25 minutes. Training of test users is also recommended. It can be taken using the paper and pencil format. Scoring and interpretation may take place instantly. Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. Considerations for test users. Taking a test should be voluntary and results must be confidential. It is recommended that the test user meets with the test taker to discuss results and provide clarifications. It is unethical for a test taker to complete the test and interpret the results on their own. Test users must prepare test takers for the test, providing them information on how the test is scored and interpreted. The 16 Personality Factor Questionnaire is also known as the 16PF, which was established by Raymond B. Cattell, Maurice Tatsuka, and Herbert Eber. Like the MBIT, it is a self-report personality test. It measures 16 major primary constructs. Also, it measures the big 5 secondary constructs. Items of the 16PF center on normal day behaviors and situations. The test taker chooses between true or false descriptions about their reaction to daily situations. Administration can be by paper and pencil or a computer. Approximately 30 to 50 minutes is what it takes. The 16 Personality Factor Questionnaire was designed for individuals of 16 years of age and older. Instructions are simple and direct and can be self-administered. It also can be taken individually or in groups. It can be scored by hand or computer, and test users could interpret the test, or test users can use available manuals and reports for interpretations. The Occupational Personality Questionnaire. This assessment measures 32 different personality styles. It provides an interpretation of a potential employee's behavior style. This information helps employers describe how the employee will fit in their working environment. Employees make forced choice responses, picking a characteristic that describes them in the best or least way possible. It has a maximum of 104 test items and is intended for a proctored setting. The test is untimed but may be completed in 45 minutes. The scoring and interpretation. The test has a scoring interpretation manual that provides concrete descriptions of behaviors on each of the 32 scales. The test takes the format of pencil and paper and can be scored manually. Interpretation of the results is done in the presence of the test taker. The next assessment is known as the California Psychological Inventory Assessment. This assessment is a self-report developed by Harrison G. Gao. It contains 434 items, in which 194 of these were taken from the MMPI. The first ever work-oriented personality measurement test was the California Psychological Inventory Assessment. Rather than being developed in one language and culture and being translated to other cultures, the CPI was developed simultaneously in various cultures across the globe. The resulting instrument has 37 scales that are put into 8 groups. 30 of the scales reflect the big 5 personality types, while the rest are composites. Ethical, cultural, and societal issues facing personality assessment in employment decisions. The existence of doubts on whether personality tests should be used in employment decisions has brought many issues to light. There is faking in these assessments. Candidates of high intellect can select responses that would work in their favor. The existence of discrimination bias is personality assessment. Some test items can be offensive. The issue of privacy, personality assessment in the workplace could intrude on the privacy of test takers. Soraka versus Dayton Hudson Company was the first case in which plaintiffs challenged the usage of personality tests in job selection on the basis of intrusion of privacy. Other ethical issues: the lack of validity of test items in some personality assessments. For instance, a number of items on the MMPI have been said to lack face validity. Some tests meant to determine psychopathology are necessary for use in some professions. Some personality tests, if not constructed properly, could lead to breaking the law. It is illegal to require candidates to provide information regarding their medical status, political orientation, or their religious beliefs. The fact that behavior is more important than personality discredits the use of personality assessment in hiring decisions. Although career assessment often includes the use of psychometric instruments or tests, its focus is still much broader. It encompasses assessing all vocationally relevant variables that may influence an individual's career decisions. One must consider country of origin, language, values, customs, beliefs, the nature of work and the workforce, and other potential factors. It is also important to consider the influence of culture on behavior and the cultural context of career assessment. Culturally specific variables to assess include racial and ethnic identity, acculturation, rural view, and socioeconomic status, gender role expectations, family expectations and responsibilities, primary language, and relationships. Tests are only one aspect of career assessment that are the best used with other information about the client and the environment. Testing refers to a method of acquiring a sample of behavior under controlled conditions. This is why ethical issues is a very important part of personality assessment, because there are so many different things that you must take into consideration as far as ethics goes. In conclusion to this presentation, making poor hiring decisions not only have the potential to create a toxic work environment, but it can also be costly. Although an employer may be challenged in court for utilizing personality tests in employee selection, the benefits of more successful employees outweighs potential legal costs. Therefore, employers should carefully take into consideration utilizing valid, reliable, and legally sustainable tests during the hiring process. Personality tests may also assist in evaluating and coaching current employees. Personality tests can also be used to identify individuals who are performing well in their current position but would likely fail in a higher one. And this is the end of my presentation. Following, you will find my references. And I thank you for listening.